A few years ago, I moved to a small rural community. I grew up in a fairly large city and was never one for that kind of life. It was loud and chaotic all the time. As soon as I was old enough and could afford it on my own, I moved away. The town I moved to is very small. The surrounding forests and mountains are beautiful, no matter what season of the year it is. It almost blows my mind that this little town isn't more of a tourist trap in the summer and fall. The quiet little town doesn't have much. A few restaurants, a couple bars, a gas station which also does repairs, one supermarket, a small police station, and that's basically it. Even the closest Walmart is like an hour away. My little paradise of a town is really off the grid, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I've been living in this town for over 3 years now, and other than one horrible day, it's been great. But even peaceful towns can sometimes have dark secrets. When I first moved to town, I got a part-time job at the local supermarket. I used to manage one of the grocery store chains in my hometown, so I had a lot of experience. I would go in first thing in the morning and unload the trucks and stock the shelves of the small store. The owner offered a management position, but I turned him down. I only wanted to work part-time, basically so I could have a little extra spending money and an excuse to get out of the house. I have a part-time job that I do online as well, and that's the bulk of my income. I wanted as much free time as I could possibly afford so I could hike and fish as much as possible. There's so many woodlands in this area that it would take me a lifetime to hike them all. Of course, I'm up for the challenge. So every day off, rain or shine, I would find a new area to hike, and I would head into the woods for the entire day. It didn't take me long to start this new lifestyle. Almost immediately after moving into town, I started hitting the trails and trying to meet the locals. At night, I would grab a bite to eat in town, and I learned quickly that everyone in the area was unexpectedly pleasant. Everyone except one. I'm referring to a man named Hector. I should say that Hector wasn't mean or rude. He was just strange, like on another planet strange. The first time I met Hector, I was just arriving at work a little after 5 in the morning, and he ran up to my car window as I was getting out of the car. Where I'm from, if someone does this, you punch them in the face before they can hit you, but not here. I put my hands up in a defensive position and started yelling at him. He screamed in my face and skipped away. Legitimately skipped. As I was standing there, confused out of my mind, one of my coworkers came up to me and told me that his name is Hector, and he's harmless. Apparently, he's lived in or near town for a long time, but nobody knows exactly where he lives. Everyone assumes he's homeless and probably lives under a bridge somewhere. They just leave him alone and let him wander around because he isn't hurting anybody. It was alarming for him to scream in my face, but if everyone in town claimed he was harmless, then I just went along with it. For the next few weeks, I would see Hector everywhere. It didn't matter if I was going to work at the crack of dawn or leaving the bar after 11. I would see him just wandering the streets. He was a short guy, but strong-looking. He was built like an ox. He couldn't have been taller than 5'3" at most. He was always wearing the stained white tank top and wore royal blue pants. I couldn't tell if they were jeans or sweatpants. He had a long, dirty gray beard, and his hair was in a ponytail, even though he was bald on the top of his head. And even with this strange appearance, the most notable thing about Hector was the skipping. Every time you'd see him moving, he'd skip. His blissful ignorance was almost envious sometimes. One morning when I was driving to work, I saw Hector standing on the corner facing the opposite direction of my car. As I was approaching the intersection, I saw him waving to someone. When I passed the intersection, I could see now that he wasn't waving to anyone. He started talking to someone and looked very animated, even though nobody was there. I just continued driving and minding my business. Honestly, it's not that weird for someone in Hector's position to talk to themselves, especially if they're not a danger to themselves or others. I couldn't care less what he was doing. That next weekend, I hit the woods on my day off. I spent a few hours hiking a part of the forest I hadn't been to yet. While I was deep in the forest, I thought I could hear the sound of a voice echoing through the trees. Hearing any kind of voice this deep in the woods is alarming. Remember, this isn't like a trail you'd find at a park or something. This is just pure wilderness, so any voice would cause you to feel a little unnerved. I know it's sketchy, but I wanted to know the source of the voice. Instead of retreating back into the woods and away from the voices, I started to move toward the voices slowly. As I got closer to the voices, I could tell that one of them sounded like it was in distress. I grabbed my pocket knife just in case and continued to sneak as quietly as I could. The voices were just behind the thick grouping of trees that was directly in front of me. When I peeked from behind the trees, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It wasn't multiple voices. It was Hector. Just Hector. He was talking to himself and changing his voice. One of the voices was angry and belittling, calling him a coward, among some other not very nice things. Then, like the snap of a finger, the angry voice started to weep. He was begging for forgiveness. One of the most terrifying things is that each voice sounded completely different. I decided to stay hidden behind the tree. I wasn't about to engage with him. While I was hiding behind the tree, the angry voice came back, and without even looking, he screamed, "He's hiding behind the tree. This time you can't let him get away." I watched Hector get up and looked directly at me through the trees. For the first time since I had met Hector, I could see genuine rage in his eyes. I took a step back from the trees, trying to process what was happening. I didn't have long because right at that moment, Hector charged at me, screaming. He wasn't skipping anymore, he was sprinting, and he was much faster than I thought he would be. I continued running back toward the direction of where I had started the hike. For a while, I could hear Hector right on my tail. He kept screaming that I was not going to get out of the forest alive. He would laugh and then scream. Every few minutes, it sounded like he was right behind me, about to grab me, but he never did. Eventually, I didn't hear anything. I finally made it back to where I started, and I instantly ducked down and looked all around the woods. Hector was nowhere to be found. I got to town and went to the local police station and told them all about Hector. The sheriff almost didn't believe me. She couldn't imagine Hector acting with such anger and rage. I told her roughly the area of the woods I was in, and she looked like she turned white as a ghost. She couldn't believe Hector was out there for starters. This was several hours worth of hiking into the woods, but she told me that isn't even the most disturbing part. Right around the area in the woods I was describing, she told me they found the remains of one of the local men from town years ago. She told me that it was disturbing and saddening for the entire community. They never found out who did it, and it's one of the only dark blemishes on an otherwise peaceful town. She started to wonder if maybe Hector had something to do with the horrible crime. She was trying to remember exactly when Hector started appearing in the town. She said her memory was fuzzy, but she was pretty sure that Hector started showing up in town around the time they found the remains. She asked if I could take her to the exact location because she wanted to bring Hector in for questioning. At the very least, she wanted to know why he attacked me and if it was safe for him to still be wandering around. We basically ran to the area in the woods, but Hector was gone. Our sheriff, who is now retired, started to get emotional because this was almost the exact same spot they found the remains all those years ago. They never caught Hector. Nobody in town ever saw him again. It's like he just vanished in the woods that day. I still go out and hike every chance I get, and every time I go, I still expect Hector to jump out of the trees and continue chasing me. I always have my knife on me just in case. Sometimes, even the most harmless-looking people can cause the most damage. I have no idea if Hector was responsible for that horrible crime, but after how I saw him acting in the woods, it wouldn't surprise me. I remember asking why Hector wasn't questioned when they found the remains, and nobody could really give me a solid answer. Now that I've lived here for a few years, I assume it's because these people just aren't equipped to deal with crimes of that magnitude. I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming there wasn't a lengthy investigation. After writing and reliving this, I still can't believe this happened. It still feels surreal to me. My advice to anyone who hears this is to always pay attention, because you never know what evil could be on the inside of someone, even someone as harmless and seemingly happy as Hector appeared to be.